a very, very subjective subject, very crucial in the life of a sadhaka, because we have been traveling quite a long time with Papa's teachings, but still uh, we have not really understood him. Unless we do the plumbing by ourselves, go within, no? It is difficult. Guidance from outside is very, very difficult. So the only way is to go to the source of our sources. Now, when we take Mataji's example, that the space between you and me, everything is contained in the space. The space does not get affected by the contents. Space is nameless, formless. Contents have got name and form. When we construct a room in a site, previously it was an open space, which has no name and form. We can feel the space. There is space that we know. That is why we could build that house. And what we do, whether it's a house, or whether it is a cremation place, or whether it is a hospital, or whether it is a school, or whether it is an industrial house, space does not bother. Space provides everything. It is not influenced by, conditioned by the contents in it. So, Nirakara Rupa of Papa means the great void. It is not emptiness, but emptiness of all the knowables, all the knowable contents. There is no matter there, but at the same time, it is the container. Thoughts, as an individual, it is the thought that brings in everything, perception. I see, I think, I hear, I touch. So when it is beyond the thoughts, how can we explain with the help of a thought? Not possible. So the container, the Nirguna Nirakara Swarup, cannot be explained because it is past thought. That is why the constant chanting is emphasized. Our chanting is not constant. Whenever chanting becomes constant, we don't, and the mind is rooted in it, mind is not allowed to go out. That means all the thoughts have been suspended, as it were, for some time, and we only hear this thought, Nama chanting. And then Papa says mental chanting. Okay, so first we do the vocal chanting. We try to train the mind not to go outside and only hearing then chanting. Chanting is going on, we try to hear the chanting. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Suppose we hear our own chanting. That means no other thoughts are going out. That is the indication. If the thoughts are going out, we will not be able to hear our own chanting. Simple. So when we keep on trying this, chanting at the same time, trying to hear the chanting, when we sufficiently train our mind and then go to the mental chanting, same has to be applied. Mental chanting cannot be repeated. So the mental chanting goes on, and the hearing of the mental chanting is also simultaneously developed. At that time, slowly the awareness wells up, the chanting is going on. Though it is not absolutely right to use the word, since we are struggling to bring it out, we can say that we know that we are chanting. This is not a correct expression. Okay. We know that we are chanting. Who is knowing? So Papa says that is what is called the Sakshi Bhav, witness consciousness. If we get a glimpse or taste of that witness consciousness, we have touched the Nirvikara Swarupa of Papa, Nirakara Swarupa of Papa. So another method suggested, we go for a morning walk alone, we see a tree or a mountain. Immediately the label comes before us: tree, mountain, waterfall. That is a label. Label through a language. We try to remember that even before that labeling, that object was there. So we remove the label. What is that? These are some of the exercises. And he said, look without seeing. When we try to look, seeing means seeing with the label. Immediately the mind starts interpreting. Good tree, bad tree, nice tree, lean tree, fat tree, flower-giving tree or fruits-giving tree, all those things, But the moment we remove the label and we try to understand that it was there, what was that there? So in another words, labeling brings out the me and the object. The moment the label is not there, only seeing is there, or looking is there. The looker and the looked is not there. Awareness only. That is the form of Nirakar Papa. So one needs to go to the source of the thoughts. And the methodology is to hang on to one thought that will remove all our thoughts. Again and again you try to bring Papa's words. Utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. It is in the stillness that we know and realize God. Utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. We can take it, utterance of God's name is also a thought. And that thought, when we hold on, it removes all other thoughts. And finally, effaces itself. By adopting to the mental chanting and then knowing the mental chanting and then beyond that we cannot express. There is nobody there to express, nobody there to tell. These are all in the rational jnana path. If it is difficult, we can adopt the bhakti path. In the bhakti path, when we give a form, Papa's form, we know that this form had a beginning and an end. But knowing that, we will install him and then feel that it is from him that all things emerge. We can plead, I am unable to go beyond that. I know that before 1884 this particular form was not there. After this 1963 is not there. But still kindly help me. Because only through this form you made me aware of your Nirakara Swarup. And you also said it is there in me. I am unable to comprehend. So please help me. And see for ourselves what happens. If the prayer comes from the bottom of the heart, so there are so many ways depending upon our approach, attitude. We can make a trial to feel the Nirakara aspect of Papa. When we take to the contemplative, it is unless and until we are so perfect, it is difficult. The mind will immediately slip. But it is foolproof. Papa had written all those words because that must have been the path he chose. Silence, stillness. So, taking his words as the GPS, we should drive. We have to drive by ourselves. We have nothing else to hold on. Papa says again, bhajan must lead you into silence or namaj. Silence not merely orally but mentally. That stage of silence you must reach soon without going on making noises all the life. An utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. In the stillness it is that you know and realize God. Out of silence, tremendous forces are released. wonders are worked. Learn to be silent. Not merely outer silence, inner silence, silence of the mind. Silencing the mind means all the thoughts are, no? Mind is nothing but thought flow. So with one thought we are trying to arrest all other thoughts. So Nama chanting helps us in that way. So while chanting Nama, suppose we develop this idea that Ram stands for the silence, not merely chanting then. When we recede into the depth of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. We discover that from this source, all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. This great void, the space. Think, all those things are to be put together. It is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of joy and peace. Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, that means this vision of the silence within us, he will be simply groping on the surface and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that these can yield him the true peace and happiness which his soul hungers for. Papa is blunt, very blunt in telling. Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, that means the stillness, he will be simply groping on the surface and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that this can yield him the true peace and happiness which his soul hungers for. He is beyond our comprehension. Problem is, we are trying to put this Nirakara Swarup of Papa in the knowables. That is here, but we cannot comprehend, we cannot put him under the confines of thought. He is beyond our comprehension. Therefore, silence is he. Silence is Brahman. The self does not require silence. It is always silent. So these words are the GPS, We have to travel. If it can be pointed out in the way in which all other objects are pointed out, they would have done it. Then we come to know that it is not an object. It is the very subject that is trying to make it as an object. The subject within me is trying to make that subject as an object. Will it ever come? Is it clear?
Yes, Swamiji.
Try, So we try to understand the power from where this talking comes. We try to understand the power from where we think we are. We try to understand the power from where we feel the sense of individuality. We try to see the power from where all of our sense organs are working. So, as sadhakas, what can we do? We have to set apart. Papa hammers this, that only through reflection, contemplation, meditation, in solitude. Solitude, then how can we go to solitude? All of us have got enough encumbrances in and around us. So here the solitude we can try to interpret a period where we are free from. So if we are dead earnest, we will find out a time in our own field and experiment all these things. Whenever we feel we are we cannot go forward blind. Again we go back and look at the GPS, Papa Mataji's teachings. So Mataji said, you look at the Kali Swarup, you will get some idea.
What Swarup Swamiji?
Hmm?
Mataji said.
Eh?
What Mataji said.
What Mataji told. Why?
Kali Swarup. She says, you must know who Papa is. Papa is Nirguna Nirakara Shashwata all-pervading existence. You can get some idea of Papa's Swarup if you stand on an open ground and look at the sky. The space where there is nothing between the earth and sky can give you an insight into Papa's all-pervading existence beyond all names and forms. If we just simply read and hear, we may not. We buy a site, we build a house, later on we demolish it. Nothing happens to the site, no? What is constructed, that gets demolished. What is there already remains always. I was born, I live, I die. The construction is there and it is demolished. But upon what this was constructed? That is that, Mataji says. There is nothing between the earth and the sky can give you an insight into beloved Papa's all-pervading existence beyond all names and forms. Though his Nirguna Swarup cannot be compared to anything, to give you some idea, I would say that it is like the vacant space between us, which is all-pervading. Think the whole universe is a vacant space, first, and in which all of us come and go, all buildings come and go, roads come and go, like that. Factories, plantation, so many things. Starting point, it was simply a space. So these are all inward journey. It is not the gymnastics of the mind. We are trying to understand. You and I have got the knack of doing it. Don't think it's a superhuman effort. When you take a drive, when you see a mountain, when you see a valley, you stop and click your mobile and take a photograph. Why? We try to understand why, what welled up in our heart when we saw the mountain, what welled up in our mind when we saw the valley. In a city life, we can understand it is difficult. Unless the mind is so sharp, focused, in spite of all the outer disturbance, it can go within. So we all choose. We remember sometime during 70s, when we were in Wayanad, there is still a place. It's called Pukot Lake as we enter the Ghat section, from the Ghat section to Wayanad. Beautiful. On those days, there was nothing, zero human habitation. So on Sundays, we take the state vehicle and then go to this place, and I think 7 or 8 friends from other areas, they will also come there Sunday. And 11 to 10:30 or 10:30, we all reach there. Up to 12:30, we spend the time. Nobody else will be there, excepting the trees. And there is a vacant space there. There we will all sit. In between, when we come to Anandashram, we will take small books, the speaks, glimpses, and the universal prayer. So we take a copy of it and distribute to all our friends. And then from there, slowly we will read this universal prayer. We remember. Yeah. And when we read, O Lord of the universe, O Creator, Protector, Destroyer of the world, I come in all humility to thy holy feet and surrender myself entirely to thee. There won't be any other sound. One person will be reading, others will be going through that, hearing it. And then when we make me thine and thine only, forever and ever. Make me thine and thine only, forever and ever. Make me thine and thine only, forever and ever. Then for a few moments, utter silence. When we close that session and when we get into our vehicles, we can see the impact of it. No? Everybody will not be sharing the usual funny ways, Hariyo, how, okay, then see you, Tata, all those words will not be there. Everyone with that impact enter into the vehicle and then each one will go away. And then later on they will telephone, wonderful, a glimpse, We are sharing this not because what was undergone was to be heard. These are all some of the ways by which, when Swamiji yesterday said, when we think of that particular form, Papa's form, immediately his formless Nirguna aspect should also come to our mind. Otherwise, you will be simply getting attached to that form. So whenever we think of Papa, let us take him to be the all-pervading absolute existence, the entire universe, and the truth seated in everybody's heart, which means whatever we see before us is the form of our beloved Papa. If we remember right, this was not extempore. Swamiji took a paper, wrote this, and then gave us for typing it out. And when we typed out and he read that. That means it's a well thought out, well contemplated, well reflected word. So it is good that now they are leading, no doubt about it. Papa is leading all of us to that.
I'm hearing Satsang.
Eh?
I'm hearing the Satsang.
That's all. You can sit here.
There is
You
a
can sit
chair.
here. No? You can sit here. So the earnestness or sincerity should be there. That is important. Because the final stage, the very fact that this question is again now put, means Papa's earnestness in taking us within. Please think over. It is the power behind this think over, no? So the thoughts are trying to give a name and form to that base. That is why we are unable to move forward. So when we stop labeling, that means the thought process gets halted. Beyond language, beyond all of us can try the other method, no? Early morning you look at everybody will be having some flower or something, Just look at it intently and remove the labeling. It is difficult, agreed. Try. Even before our labeling. Eh?
I tried this, but I just can't go beyond. Like, I'm now sitting and watching the tree and thinking, no, this is not the tree. What is it then? And then I can't go beyond.
Mind should not be there, na? Ensure that the thought should not be there. It is very difficult. We only by trying, the thought can be trained. We are trying to tame the thought with the thought. So that is why the concept, it is the conceptless reality. We are trying to put it in the concept. So it is difficult. So this way, when you look at a tree, remove that labeling. Because even before labeling, the thought confirms to us it was there. Only when the labeling took place, so what was that? Don't say anything. If we say anything, again it is coming under the purview of thought. So what was it before the labeling?
The question remains, but the answer doesn't come.
That's nice. That is a wonderful revelation. The question remains, answer does not. Because question is through a thought. Answer cannot be through a thought. Try that, try. Because this thought is the medium through which we are trying to understand, grasp, memorize. So when it is beyond the boundary, it cannot be explained.
Swamiji, I have a thought. What came into my mind, I'm just sharing. What came into my mind, I'm just sharing. We are, as humans, very insignificant. We're very insignificant. This Homo sapiens, as such, we are very small. There's big, big things. And there is cosmic, which is like, the solar system. So when somebody is managing all that gravity, the moving sun in between and all, so like Papa cannot be in a Saguna Rupa to do all that. So that's why he's in a magnanimous way. Only with that kind of a power can they handle that solar system and so many systems. We are so insignificant, so we are nothing in front of this entire. This is what I try to understand.
One way of approach, one of the devotees present here says, just look at the whole solar system, the whole universe, so many things in it. There are so many physical laws, spiritual laws, so many laws. Everything is going on. The tiny little puny intellect cannot understand. But we know that it is going on. 365 days it is rotating, the earth is rotating. We cannot understand because our intellect is puny, limited. So that means that power, whom we call as Papa, is beyond the human form. Because through that human form we cannot, if it was possible, we would have been able to understand now. So the human form cannot explain. Acha, then Papa, Papa having come back to the our level, individual level, he was bringing out in so many forms. Still he said, many of you might have read, remembered, he will often quote Buddha Bhagavan's word, he who questions earth, he who answers earth. From the light of Asia. Then only we understand, he who questions earth, he who answers earth. That means beyond that, beyond that, beyond that. Somebody should come and tell us, it is beyond that. So here, in the tiny little form, he brought this, and after having experienced this all-pervading, he conveys to us that it is that. GPS he gives us. He had gone with the GPS, reached the destination, and for enabling us to reach the destination, he came back to the starting point, that means through that form, and conveys to us his experience. And then we have to do the same thing. Like what now? Think about it. It is purely not academic.
Swamiji, it is sometimes when we think that it is a force, a strong force and energy.
Force,
that
energy.
Makes us all connect. That makes us all connect so many miles apart. All of us are so many miles apart. Yet we are all connected by this Google Meet, and all of us are having the same thought of trying to understand Nirakara Swarupa, and you are trying to explain to us. That itself is very much, overwhelming thought that he is making us all come together.
Try. In Malayalam, what you said, in Malayalam there is a beautiful poem taught to us. You may not be able to understand Malayalam. Anandam Ajnatam Avarnaniyam. ഈ ലോകഗോളം തിരിയുന്ന മാർഗം അതിങ്കൽ എങ്ങാണ്ടൊരിടത്തിരുന്ന് നോക്കുന്ന മർത്യൻ കഥ എന്ത് കണ്ടു? അനന്തം, അജ്ഞാതം, അവർണ്ണനീയം. Beginningless, endless, it cannot be brought within the purview of thoughts, ajnana. Avarnaniyam, inexpressible. What? How this world rotates. And we in a corner sitting, how can he bring it? What can he? How can he comprehend? How can he do that? The all-pervading existence cannot be contained or cannot be understood by the thought which is propelled by this all-pervading reality. So, but at the same time, as aspirants, Papa has given all these clues to us. He must have got this from Upanishads or what do you call Yoga Vasishta.
Swamiji,
Ah,
Avarnaniyam means even beyond description.
yeah, inexpressible.
Yeah, thank you.
Varnikan pattathathu. It cannot be explained. അനന്തം, അജ്ഞാതം, അവർണ്ണനീയം, ഈ ലോകഗോളം തിരിയുന്ന മാർഗം, അതിങ്കലെങ്ങാണ്ടൊരിടത്തിരുന്ന് നോക്കുന്ന മർത്യൻ കഥ എന്ത് കണ്ടു? Initially, to understand that, they have given us so many similes which are understandable. You remember Papa used to quote the salt doll going to the river to measure the depth. Salt doll. The moment it entered, it dissolved. To make us aware that it is folly to, for the puny intellect, which is finite, which is limited, to understand anything about this infinite. So the bhakti path is easy in the sense, there we are not breaking our head with all this, and then we say, you are that. You give a form and say, you are that infinite. Take me to that infinite.
சுவாமிஜி,
Ah.
மேத்ஸ்ல படிக்கிற போது எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுவா மேத்தமேட்டிக்ஸ்ல
Ah.
கன்சிடர் சர்க்கிள் ஆஃப் இன்ஃபைனைட் ரேடியஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவார் வாத்தியார். ஆனா போர்டுல ஒரு டாக் பீரியட்ல ஒரு சர்க்கிள் தான் போடுவார். That means he is trying to explain the infinite through the finite.
Yeah, correct.
அதுதான் சுவாமி புரிஞ்சது எனக்கு.
Oh.
That is beautiful, Swamiji.
Very
What Dr.
other.
Pattabhi Raman said is very beautiful.
Think, that is the advantage, that is the greatest advantage of this collective learning. Something he will prompt something in somebody's mind, and that way we can try to go within, and somewhere the light we will see. We are in a tunnel now where there is no light. So somebody will show some light. Whatever path you feel like. Now the background has been made clear to all of us now. To somebody, the mind may be rational, it has got the capacity to go inside. In others, it will be more devotional type. So they would like to bring it out in their own way. So whatever is okay. Sanatana Dharma is highly democratic, you know? It doesn't say only through this, only through that, no. It gives us the option. Because he is there in everybody, you know. And everybody is unique. Those who have been with Papa for a number of years, were they able to grasp? Each one has to. But he is teaching us that the main hurdle, the real journey now starts, as we have been discussing now. But here we find, when we start discussing, the me and mine is not there. So the first job for us is to tame the me and mine and become clear about the goal, no? The power which makes me to think, which makes me to feel I am, that is the one which I want to realize. It is not that I want to know. Know means knowing an object. Realize means what already we have, we are trying to experience. That is why they said God realization. It is not knowing. If we confuse it with knowing, then the mind will keep on trying to know more. But actually it is not that. It is to realize. So realization comes when the thought process ends. Whatever method is suitable, we will try, keep on trying, trial and error method. They have all brought it beautifully before us. In Nirvana Shargam, Shankaracharya has beautifully brought out, Mano buddhi ahankara chittani na aham, na cha shrotra jihve, na cha grana netre, na cha vyoma bhumi na tejo na vayuhu, chitananda rupa shivoham. Whatever I have heard, you are not. Whatever I have tasted, no. Whatever I have uttered, no. Mano, I am not the mind, I am not the buddhi, I am not the ahankara. Mano buddhi ahankara chitta. Nina, na aham, I am not that. That which is seen, you are not. That which is heard, you are not. That which is uttered or tasted, you are not. That which is smelt, you are not. That which is touched, you are not. So when we remove, what happens, And he keeps on listing. Na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantram, na tirtam, na vedam, na yajnam. Na me dvesha ragav, na me lobha moho, matoneva, meneva, matsarya bhavam, na dharmam, na chartam, na kamam, na moksham. Na me mrityu shankha, na me jadi veda, pitaneva, meneva, matanya janma, na bandhu, na mitram, gururnaiva shishya. And finally, when he removed all the knowables, aghast, so he said, aham nirvigalpo, nirakara rupo, vibhutvacha sarvatra sarvendriyanam, nachasangator naiva muktir nameyaha, chitananda rupa shivoham. So they have all shown this, after plumbing deep into it. So with all...
I am auspiciousness.
Eh?
I am auspiciousness.
I am auspiciousness.
That is okay. So what we are to remove the knowable means we cannot proceed further. Knowables are the products of our thought. During our deep sleep state,
Yes.
no knowables are there. What is that state?
Not even knowing the gender, Swamiji.
Eh?
Not even knowing that I am a male, female.
That is also not there. So start thinking. That is why God has given us these three states every day. Yat swapra jagara sushuptim avedi nityam tad brahmam. Yat swapna jagara sushuptim avedi nityam tad brahmam. It is nityam, it is tad brahmam. That which one is present during all these three states. These are all some of the ways by which they have made us understood. So when the one word, look without seeing. We remember in 2006 when we came from J. Krishnamurti's, and when he prompted us to bring out this inward journey, different words from different books. So when this particular line came, when the mind ceases to be, then you realize you are the Atman. Look without seeing, hear without listening, eat without tasting. That is the thing you have to attain. Papa's PhD classes nobody knew. Otherwise, how can this? Later on, when we were going through Eckhart Tolle, you know what he has written? When you see a tree or a flower or a mountain, you intently look and look without seeing. What is happening? Consciousness is looking at its creation. Consciousness is looking at its creation. You and me are, me and the object is not there. Highest state. That is look without seeing.
Ceasing thought is not easy because when the thought stops, life stops. Without thought, how we can move, how we can go forward. They say, leave the thought and dhyan, okay. Without thought, how life can move? Life stops. I have thought. Maybe I am wrong, but without thought I can't move. I made it as a substance with thought.
That is why, right from the beginning, Papa has been hammering this to us, that by concentrating on one thought, we try to free ourselves. Suppose a moss is there on the surface of a water. We try to remove the moss, then we see the water. So similarly, so many thoughts are gurgling, that is why we are what we are. But that is why we are prevented in not knowing the base for the thoughts. So it is not easy. So that is why we have been asked to concentrate on one thought, which is called the Ramnam. And with the help of that Ramnam, we try to remove at least a glimpse out of our 24 hours, out of the waking 18 hours or 16 hours. We try to get 1 minute at least to know the basis of our thoughts. Not that we will remain there, we will come back and function as an individual. To function as an individual, thought is an aid. That is why thought has been given to us. With the thought only we function as an individual. So, but the thought should know, thought is arrogating now that it is the one who is absolute. When we know that when we were in the form of a seed in our mother's womb, this problem was not there. So then when we came out, when slowly started bringing these thoughts, then we started crying, we started demanding, we started laughing, we started crying, so many things, just imagine that. So, and then we cannot go back to that state, but we should know we have come from that state. Spirituality means to know the existence of the spirit and function as an individual as dictated by, as designed by the spirit, not as designed by the me and mine now. Anyway, that is another aspect. So what we are discussing is, let us try to understand this and try to do, at least in the whole, we try different methods and whichever suits us. Ultimate idea is the one behind this talk. What is that? So that has no name and form. So that's what Swamiji refers here as the Nirakara Swarup. It is a formless form, no? It has no form which can be limited. Border can be put. So we will keep on digging, digging within. With the help of Ramna, with the help of the words of the masters who have scaled the heights. And the sufficient practice is necessary. That is why he gave us Nam Seva Dhyan. So Nama is trying to pump this idea. You remember his words? While chanting, we are to remember that we are chanting the name of one who is within us, who is making us to chant. Who is making me to chant? We try to go within. So, very good. Nothing will go in vain. This will have its own impact. Each one may try in your own way. He will definitely show us. He is earnest now. Previously we had ignored him, so he did not. Now when we have shown some interest, he is earnest. That is why he is keeping the subject alive. Today is the third day. 25th, 26th, 27th. He is keeping that. 25th was his Samadhi day. So on the Samadhi day, he made us to share all these thoughts. And that day left some impression in the minds of everybody. And then yesterday also we came with something new. Today also we thought we would share. But then when we opened the email, we saw this. Again it struck to us, plumbing him. We have to keep on. We are still in the tunnel. We have to see the light somewhere. So he is leading us. He is leading us to know that we are in the tunnel, searching for him. So he will definitely show us the light. 100%. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Pranam, pranam.